I'm Shauna Magill-Fegan and welcome to the Love NI Food podcast. This is where we celebrate Northern Ireland's food and drink industry, our great food, great people and great stories. You know, we've so much to be proud of here in Northern Ireland. Our local food and drink industry contributes 8 billion to the local economy. Our local produce is exported to over 70 countries worldwide, and we can trace our food from farm to fork. And on the Love NI Food podcast, we let the people driving the industry here in Northern Ireland tell their stories. This episode of the Love NI Food podcast is brought to you by Andrew Ingredients, supporting Northern Ireland's food industry for over 80 years. On this episode of the Love NI Food podcast, the farm diversification story that turned the humble spud, the gorgeous humble spud, into a national household brand. The Hamilton family have been farming vegetables and potatoes on the shores of Strangford Lough for 6 generations, and their story, the Hamilton story, is the epitome of the field to fork story. I'm delighted to welcome Jack Hamilton, CEO of Mash Direct, to the podcast. How are you, Jack?
I'm getting on very well today. The sun is shining and everyone's in very good form. We're very happy to see the sun this year, so it has put everyone in great form today.
Did you drive in today?
I did, yeah.
Did you drive in the tractor?
I didn't. It wasn't in a tractor and it wasn't in the mash bus today. It was just my wee car just to dart into Belfast.
Yeah. I am a huge spuds and butter woman. There is nothing nicer. You have really, Mash Direct has really put the humble spud on the retail map, hasn't it?
We think we're getting there. We're
Yeah.
starting to get there now. I suppose for us, we started so long ago. I'm generation number 6 on the same farm, so it's really exciting to see the potato getting the recognition it deserves. Obviously, something that's famous from our part of the world, be it Cumber or be it Northern Ireland. We're known for our spuds in this part of the world, so we're delighted to see Cumber spuds not only on the shelves locally, but also right the way around the UK and Ireland now.
Is it true, Jack, that there are something like 54 packs of a Mash Direct product sold every minute in Northern Ireland? Because that's quite the statistic.
There are slightly more than that now
Wow.
being sold. We're continuing to grow and grow, and I suppose I really have to pinch myself whenever I hear things like that, because that's the level we're at now. But I still remember right the way back to the early days, and sitting in the same family farm in the same kitchen, chatting to my dad about the crops and chatting to my mum about what's going on out in the market that day. And all of a sudden we're still having the same conversations, but all of a sudden the volumes have just gone up and up and up. But we're still out there every single day. The boots still have plenty of mud on them.
You grew
Um,
up on the farm in Cumber, isn't that right?
I did, yeah. I grew up on the farm where Mash Direct now sits.
And did you pick the spuds? And
We
pick the
did,
carrots?
yeah. It was a family effort for the first spuds that went into becoming Mash Direct. There's pictures somewhere out in the fields next to Strangford Lough with my dad driving one tractor and my brother with the trailer behind him, and I'm on top of a harvester with a big afro at the time. Out behind the tractor, but out in the harvester, sorry, at that stage. But yeah, we were there from day one, and it's just continued to grow from there and be a really fun, phenomenal business growth.
So it was your dad, Martin, that set Mash Direct up about over 20 years ago now, isn't that right? He tells a fantastic story about how he came up with the idea to turn the humble spud into something special.
It was a really simple idea, really well executed. So he was out with a friend having a couple of glasses of whiskey. Depending on the time of the day, the number of glasses of whiskey may change, and the telling of the story changes. But it was over a couple of glasses of whiskey. He was chatting to him and saying, "Look, ultimately, farming wasn't going the way he'd hoped. It used to be back in the day that potatoes were much more profitable, and the farm was really struggling. So at that stage, it was diversify or die for the farm. And he was looking at it and saying, what are we going to do differently to ensure that we can continue doing what he loves, what he did, what his father did before him, what his father did before him, and it got to a stage where he needed to come up with another idea, and that idea was nice and straightforward. He said, "Look, whenever he sees people walk around the supermarkets, he can see that when they get to the fresh produce section, they will turn over every single potato and inspect every single one. They'll turn over carrots, parsnips, turnips, and inspect for very, very low price. But then when they turn the corner and go down the ready meal aisle, they were shopping that very quickly. They knew they were in a rush. They knew they needed to get the products very, very fast. And whenever it came to that piece, he looked at it and said, look, there's very few people actually lifting things in the produce section anymore because the pace of life has changed. You've got two working parents now in the family. So
Mhm.
therefore convenience is the way forward.
Mhm.
And we need to find a way to make the produce from our farm more convenient in a way that the everyday shopper will be able to enjoy and put in their basket. And that's where the idea for Mashed Direct came from, making simple vegetables straight from our farm more convenient. And when he did that, it was the good old Ulster Champ.
Yeah.
That was the first product that he set out to make with a steam cooker that he designed and built with a friend to get the product going. Back in those days, it wasn't 20 years ago. It wasn't us going straight onto supermarket shelves on day one. It was we got the product listed in one convenience store, one little store in Clinchy, and another one in Killaloe. We started into there. They were really supportive of us on day one. And whenever the products went onto shelves, we thought, they'll go onto shelves. They'll be there for a couple of days. We'll maybe get a call and just see how this goes. And I basically, before my dad even got back into the yard, just getting phone calls saying, this stuff's already moved. It's already gone. We need more. We need more. We need more. And that's, I think, the realization for him when he realized that Champ was going to become a much
Mm.
bigger thing for our
Yeah.
farm than we'd ever thought. And
Yeah.
you go right back to where we started. And essentially for him and over that glass of whiskey, he at that stage, he wanted to bet everything on Champ.
Yeah.
That was it. Bet,
Yeah.
essentially it was betting the whole farm on Champ and that
Yeah.
being the future, and
Yeah.
that's the way it's
And
become for
why
us.
do you think he chose that option as opposed to 20 years ago? The farming was under pressure. Uh, there was a bit of a decline in the vegetable market. Why didn't your mum and dad at that stage not choose to sell the land, build property? Why? Where did the passion, him being a sixth generation farmer, is that where the passion came from to make something great even greater? Or
My dad is a farmer through and through,
yeah.
so there's nowhere that he's happier than being out in the farm. And my mum, as well, just loves being out in the soil, be it the farm or the garden. So it would have been a huge decision for them to sell up, and lots of other farmers have sold up. It's a recurring story that we hear, but for them, they went where their passion is, and they wanted to keep doing what they knew best. They'd started off years before that with little grocers. They were on selling their veg in Grey Abbey, and they had that before they did anything else. So, this was what they really wanted to do, and they really believe in produce from Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
be it from Cumber, be it from down the Arch Peninsula. We've got some of the most incredible land in this part of the world that produces phenomenal veg,
Hmm.
and it would just be such a shame to see more of it go into housing development whenever we can feed so much of the UK and Ireland
Hmm.
with the best quality vegetables
Yeah.
you're going to find. And that's the ethos we've carried through into Mash Direct, that every single pack that goes out the door we see as a little ambassador for fruit and veg. And
Mm.
in Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
there's great produce here, and every single one of our packs has the logo on it that has Scrabo Tower on it, because that's
Yeah.
us what signifies the quality.
Yeah. It must have been extremely hard for them, though, back then. I mean, they must have worked very, very long hours. It must have been hard work building that brand, even to get the Champ product, the initial product, into the local stores.
It took a huge amount of hard work, and still continues to be. The food
Hmm.
industry is for people who are passionate, through and through. Otherwise, you'd have to be absolutely mad to work in this industry without being passionate about the products that you're making. So they worked incredibly hard with a great team around them as well in the early days to build a brand and to create a product range. And that went from the early days for us, were after those two local stores, we were out trying to get people to know Mash Direct, and that was George's Market at the time.
St. George's Market.
St. George's Market, yeah. So we
Hmm.
were, when we just got started, mum and dad took up a little stall in there, and it's not St. George's Market that it is today,
Yeah.
which is much more tourism focused. Back then, it was slightly more of a marketplace. So there's a little stand in there. they were able to get going and have a stand to tell people about the Mash Direct brand. And it was some very rainy Saturday mornings coming off the farm, having had a long slog during the week to go out to the marketplace at the weekend to try and tell people about it. And it was hard, undoubtedly, but the more and more people saw it, the more people who tried it and got the product into their mouth, that it made a huge difference. Whenever there had been so many people who'd been turned off convenience food because there was so much stuff that had come out early that was full of additives, full of preservatives, full of nasty stuff that you wouldn't want to eat and put in your body. So they were trying to do something completely different with a marketplace that just simply didn't exist. So it was trying to get people into the mindset that you could have convenience food that's also fresh, that's also healthy, that's also farm fresh, and that you'd know where your food comes from the farm the whole way to the table.
Hmm.
And that all started back in St. George's Market
Yeah.
back in 2003,
And
2004.
that's how they got in front of their first customers,
That was it.
basically, and had conversations and were able to sample and got important feedback.
The people of Belfast are fantastic at giving feedback.
Yeah.
And it's made us what we are today, because we're able to move really quickly and listen over and over again. And it's something that has made us very effective as a business, is our ability to listen to our customers. And that started in the marketplace, driven by my mum. To say we need to be in front of people and we need to hear the feedback all the time. We need to hand out free samples. And for anyone who's seen us at Balmoral, they know that we like to give out free samples as well, because ultimately we love the food we make, and we know that the best way to talk about food is to eat it together with somebody else, even if that's in a little sample or ideally around a dinner table. It's the best way to be with food. So we started that back in the marketplace and grew from there, and that's the birth. The idea that then became our social media, which we
Yeah.
can talk about in a little bit.
I'm interested to talk more about your mum and dad. What did you learn from your mum and dad in terms of the business? What is it about Tracy and Martin? I know they work incredibly hard, but what did they instill in you? Did they instill that passion?
Yeah, there's so work ethic first and foremost. That gives you the tools to get on with anything else in life. I think it's, while I might not have the expertise in many, many, many things, having a work ethic gives you at least the toolkit to be able to move forward with ideas and with projects. And they are both incredibly driven and motivated people. So first of all, would be the drive. Second, their passion for what they do. Um, they really believe in not just Mash Direct, but the wider Northern Ireland agri-food sector, and they champion it at any occasion they can. It's about more than just us. It's the community of people around us that make up the food industry here in this part of the world. And when we go out to shows in Scotland or England or in Dublin, you know, they're the ones who are going out there and saying, you've got to meet so and so, and you've got to meet this person, and we all work together as this.
Yeah.
So their passion for the overall sector came
Yeah.
through to me as well.
That theme is definitely coming through with all of our guests, this collaborative networking and working and supporting each other in growing a Northern Ireland Food and Drink PLC as such. Tell me, Jack, can we talk a little bit about the range? And it has grown exponentially. You have over 30 products now, 30 convenient vegetable and potato products. How does that come about? And how did your mum and dad in the early days go from Champ? And where was the innovative thinking in developing the various products? How did that all unfold?
So the first major innovation was developing that first range and developing the bespoke steam cooker on the farm,
Mhm.
and that was to retain the taste and texture of what would have been my grandmother's recipes, that my dad was wanting to replicate. So it needed to taste like proper veg that you'd have in your Sunday lunch. So it started there to make the initial range of mashed potato, champ, turnip, and carrot and parsnip mash, which we started with. We evolved from there into our cabbage range, with the green cabbage and the red cabbage and beetroot, which is another one of my dad's favorites, and
My
another one of my
favourite.
grandmother's recipes. It's a brilliant product, and definitely one to have as part of a Sunday lunch. I had it for dinner last night as
Yeah.
well. And we went through the cabbage. We also grow cauliflower and broccoli. So we have our cauliflower with a cheese sauce and our broccoli with a cheese sauce, which we launched in about 2008. And then from there, we changed quite a bit, because when we were listening to our customer base in the like of Dublin, they were saying to us that they were increasingly wanting gluten-free options,
Mm-hmm.
that weren't in the marketplace. So whenever we then had croquettes in the marketplace, we quickly evolved to ensure that not only the croquettes were gluten free, but also that our whole range would be gluten free, which then influenced where we went to with the next evolution of the business with introducing a fry line. Because what we saw was there's lots of people who like to eat veg in a different way on a Friday and Saturday night when you're looking more for beer battered chips and beer battered onion rings
Oh,
and
beer
pub style.
battered chips and onion rings with a little bit of fish. Nothing nicer on a Friday.
That's it. They're fantastic.
Whoever
And
come up with the idea for beer battered chips, Jack?
so that came about when we were chatting around in the kitchen, and it was trying to introduce a way to make chips lighter, essentially to put a batter on them, but not make the batter so heavy that it dominates the whole meal. And we had a load of good suppliers who came in with lots of different concepts, and we rattled them around the kitchen for a while, which is still the kitchen on the farm,
Hmm.
which is where the best ideas come from, and eventually ended up with a product in the marketplace that is the beer battered chips, which is made with local gluten free beer as well from a couple of guys down in Kilkeel. So we make sure we keep everything local with them too.
Yeah, let's talk about that local ecosystem of suppliers that you work with. Why is that so important to Mash Direct?
'Cause I think for us, it's always been where we found the best quality.
Mm.
When we chat to other people who are around us, we can work collaboratively and ensure that we've got the best quality products we've got as a business. We've won 32 Great Taste Awards, and that's really important for us. But we're part of a wider community where, like Northern Ireland, over indexes massively when it comes to Great Taste Awards. You've got the like of Peter Hannon with the Golden Fork, and there's so many more. Whenever you look at the amount of producers here and our population of 1.8, 1.9 million, and the amount of Great Taste Awards that come from this part of the world, we'd be mad to look elsewhere for people to produce for us. We get so many of our, we grow the majority of our veg still ourselves. If we were looking to go further afield, it would just be an exercise in madness to go the whole way around the
Yeah.
world to find produce that we can get much better in our backyard, and then there, we can deliver it to our customers with a lower price because it's not got the food miles on it.
And of course, the Great Taste Awards are coordinated by the Guild of Fine Foods organisation in London. And the Great Taste Awards are special because they're blind tasted by an expert panel. And that Great Taste symbol is very significant if you are a producer in the United Kingdom. And I know you've been a prolific winner. We have a great track record, Northern Ireland, at Great Taste. Tell me about your journey into the business because you didn't come straight out of school and head straight for the fields, did you?
No, I was told by my parents from a very young age to say, whatever you do, don't get into farming.
Right.
which I think a lot of people are told in the food industry, or told by told at the knee. Go and do something else. This
Yeah.
is really this could be really hard work, and unless you're really passionate about it, it's better to go out and look and see what else is out there. So I did head out for a while. So I did my undergrad down in Dublin,
Hmm.
and then that took me on to doing. I did a postgrad in London and worked a bit as a journalist in Nigeria, and did a bit of work in Washington DC as well.
A journalist in Nigeria.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So it was,
Wow. What
it
did you
was
learn from that experience, Jack?
I learned a lot of things. You grew up pretty fast over there. It is one of the most energetic places that I've ever been, and it is it's got an amazing food culture. It's got brilliant people, and if things stabilize a little bit, I'd say anyone should visit there just to go and be part of the local food scene. It is a brilliant learning experience. Um, I also learned how to talk even faster than we do in Northern Ireland, to try and keep up with them, to keep pace with everyone there. But yeah, I learned a lot over there, which I then took into my experience in DC, which was a great place to work as well.
This was as a reporter with Sky, isn't that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So did a bit of work for them over there, and as I was doing that, I was obviously chatting backwards and forwards with my parents, and chatting about what was going on at Mash Direct, and I realized that I was talking much more passionately about Mash Direct than I was about the things that I was doing. So I felt so disconnected at that stage.
Mm.
To I was across in DC talking about what was going on in West Africa. It all just seemed so far removed, and coming from a background where I've been so closely connected to what's going on from farm to fork on the table, it just seemed natural to me that I should be should be involved with Mass Direct and tell more of the story of Mass Direct rather than telling anyone else's story.
Would you fancy being back in DC as a reporter in the current climate?
Absolutely not. I'd rather be in something a lot more tangible,
Yeah.
and talking about Champ and talking about root veg
Yeah.
rather than the madness that goes on across there.
Yeah, but a fabulous experience. But you discovered that the grass isn't necessarily always greener, and you yearned to then come home. Isn't that right?
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a bit. Then we were in London then at the time, just getting started, and we hadn't really got many big listings into the south of England. So what we took ourselves on when I joined, what we took ourselves on to do was try and bring a Northern Irish product into the market in the south of England, because at that stage, whenever we chatted to buyers, especially in the south of England, the mentality was that, you could have a really strong brand in Belfast and a really strong brand in Dublin and maybe a bit of presence in Edinburgh, but they saw the south of England as a really different marketplace. So it was a bit of a catch-22, because said, look, you can't prove that you're selling well in the south of England until you're in the south of England.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we needed to get started somehow there, and we used the same tactics there that we used when we got started in Cumber, which was in Cumber we started off with our little van delivering directly into stores to get us up and running.
Was this a
before we
little
then got into
Mash
supermarket.
Direct branded van?
That was it, little Mass Direct branded van. So we started one, ran one out of Harlow in Essex to start getting into London, then ran another one out of Hemel Hempstead to get into the other side of London, and bit by bit we started to get into independent stores.
And how do you do that, Jack? Is that simply a case of loading up the van and heading out, driving through the streets of London? And is that cold calling into stores, or
That's
how
it.
does that work?
So we started by selling the products down and said, look, we believe these will sell, chatting through, same way we did here back in Killaloe, Clinchy back in the early days, and just saying to the stores there, it's like, this is phenomenal. These are phenomenal side dishes. These will work really well. Going into local butchers and going into even Fortnum and Mason, where the royal family shop, and saying, we know these will work really well. And you've got, for example, Peter Hannon steaks
Yeah.
there. You've got Abernethy butter sitting there, and then we were really delighted to have our Champ and our mashed potato on shelf there at the time. But it was just delivered. It was delivered in via vans to get us up and running until we could then convince central distribution to say, look, here's the demand. People really want this, and it all comes from just the flavours coming from the soil in County Down. There's nothing crazy about this. There's nothing wildly different. We're not adding anything nasty to it to get these flavours into it. The flavours are coming from the soil. This will work really well on your shelves. And then the Great Taste Awards really helped telling that story. So it was the combination of the quality that was inherent in the product with the awards they trusted, and then the distribution network to get it on all the shelves locally. And then finally the breakthrough came where we were getting national listings with Tesco's, with Morrison's, right the way around the UK.
You know, at the heart of every great Northern Ireland food story are the ingredients that make it possible. For over 80 years, the team at Andrew Ingredients has been the steadfast partner behind our thriving food industry. They're based in Lisburn. They're a proud family business with a team dedicated to helping local producers grow and innovate. Whether you're an artisan startup or an established local brand, Andrew Ingredients is proud to champion the people who make our food scene so special. To learn more about their story and how they support the local industry, head over to andrewingredients.com or follow them on socials at Andrew Ingredients. How does one go about securing a national listing? Jack, can you explain the process to us?
You would have to ask my brother,
Lance.
Lance. So
Yeah.
Lance is
Because Lance is in the business with you, also your brother. Yeah.
He is indeed, yeah. So he is the one who's driven that side. So he looks after the supermarkets. He's our chief commercial officer, and he's been driving that from his first day in the business. And he's got the really tricky job of translating everything that's going on the farm as well as in the factory, then to drive that through onto the shelves so it's always available, and that we've got the full range available on as many shelves as possible. Because the number one thing when you're out there in the marketplace, people saying, where can we find you, where can we find more and more and more, and he's been the one making sure it's on the shelves and looking after all those buyers who want to make sure they've got the right range on their shelves.
So Lance is responsible for that relationship piece between Mash Direct and not only its customers, but the buyers in the retail space, but also in food service, because you supply into hotels and pubs, don't you?
We do. We supply into some of the biggest hotel and pub chains in the UK and Ireland on top of the retail
Yeah.
side. And
And
that
how does
is,
that happen? I mean, these incredible stories of Northern Ireland producers who are supplying into some of the. How does it happen, Jack?
there's a few different ways that we got into food service. So one of them was, and I've got to be careful because some of the restaurants don't
Yeah.
like us saying that someone's coming from a brand that's on the shelves as well. But there's the big pub chain that we're in. We had our mashed potato in a small way. And it was part of this conversation where they're saying, look, you're probably not big enough to supply every single pub around the UK with your mashed potato. And I said, okay, we'll come back to you. And a few weeks later, they called me back and said, I see your vans absolutely everywhere now. You must be big. And I believe you might have the capacity to be able to service all this. And what had really happened is a stroke of luck from our side, which was one of our vans that we'd put in England and around London had been driving backwards and forwards on its normal route and just so happened to be round the corner from where the buyer lived. So from
Right.
his perspective, he was
Seeing
seeing
it all
vans
the
all
time.
the time. He was actually seeing the same van drive up and down the road all the time, but
Yeah.
he thought it was multiple different vans supplying all over London. He said, "Jeepers, I see you everywhere. You must be massive." And we weren't as big as we were letting on at the time, but you've got to take your piece of luck when you get them. And then we expanded rapidly there. And then the for the other ones, it's about going out into restaurants, bring the team out, having eating meals, and you try something, and you taste it, and say, "Look, I know this mashed potato's got loads of additives in it." And you just call and call and call until you get through to the right person in their head office and say, look, we can take all the additives out. We can make this natural. We can take it back to be from a sixth generation family farm in County Down. And not only can we improve on your price and service level, but it's a better quality product as well. And once that gets through, then it makes all the difference. And even on Saturday, the head of food for one of the pub chains just dropped into us on Saturday. Had a coffee with Lance, myself, my mum, my dad. Catches up. He's able to tell us about everything that's going on in the world of pubs, and we're able to catch him up on farming. And then he goes on his way and checks on his pubs in the airports. And yeah, the whole thing works together because food industry can be incredibly small at times, and
Did
it
you
just takes a
enjoy
bit of
that
luck.
time in London building the base for the business?
I enjoyed it. It was I really enjoyed building what we were doing in London. I think after a while you start to become a logistics business rather than a food business. So I was delighted to build it, and I was even more delighted to hand it over to central distribution
Right.
whenever we got the volumes up to be able to justify it and be able to get back again because I got married then soon after that, and we my wife and I decided that the best place for us would be to move back to Northern Ireland
Mhm.
and set up base here again.
So you come back to base and you come on board and you put the whole social media world at the heart of the Mash Direct growth strategy. What inspired you to do that?
Yeah, I was fortunate when I did my undergrad down in Dublin. It was the same time that some of the huge social media companies were just starting. So nobody really knew what Facebook and Twitter were in a broad sense. But they just emerged, they just launched whenever I was doing my undergrad down there. And then all of a sudden they were popping up with these European headquarters in Dublin. So I was able to have chats with people down there, and they, especially the team at Twitter, thought it was a bit of a novelty that there was someone coming and chatting and saying, "Oh, we're a family farm, we sell potatoes," and they were thinking, "Oh, Irish potato farmer." So they were pretty excited to work together with us in the early days and say, "Look, there's more we can do," and they were able to work with us and giving us a bit of ad spend back then to try and promote the brand, and that then helped us learn how to use social media because we knew that people wanted to know where their food came from, and we just needed to find a way to get there. And traditional advertising was just so expensive and still is incredibly expensive. So we were savvy. We used very limited budget because we're a farm, and it's difficult to make a huge amount of money off vegetables. So we were just doing whatever we could to get the name out there. And Twitter and Facebook were supportive in those early years. We then were able to grow that, and we've evolved with that over time as those companies have evolved into, we're working on projects and doing, the team did a phenomenal job on TikTok. And then that's grown to a point where last year our reach was over 49 million across all of our social media
Wow,
platforms. So
that's huge.
yes,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
one of the most followed vegetable companies in the UK and Ireland certainly. And then we always look at who's doing exceptional work out there on social media as well. But all it really comes down to is just for us, it's about keeping that transparency on where the food comes from, making really exciting recipes, and then listening to our consumers.
Yeah. I know that there was a infamous brisket recipe that you did with mash. I think was that for Valentine's Day? Maybe last year. The viewing on that was just phenomenal.
It went viral, and
Yeah.
huge credit to our marketing team.
Yeah.
It was Katie, Emma, Jordan, and now Claire in
Yeah.
running the marketing team. They do an excellent job of understanding where the demand is and listening to our audience. And that beef brisket video was amazing. If anyone wants to go out and look for it,
Yeah.
I don't know how many hits it has on
Yeah,
now,
it's
but
huge. And the no faff, no fuss campaign is a lovely campaign because you're bringing it back to basics with that particular social media campaign in terms of, just keeping the recipes very simple, using the beautiful Mash Direct product, and that seems to be working very well. Also, no
yeah,
faff, no fuss.
yeah. There's a lot of recipe videos out there and campaigns that go out and tell you to use all these wonderful fancy ingredients and all the stuff that you don't have in your cupboard at home. And for us, what we're about is keeping it incredibly simple. There's no faff, no fuss. There's the who could be bothered campaign as well. It's the team trying to get across in the best way to say, look, everything we do is really simple. We're about, our brand success is because people, families, students, people who are of an older generation, everyone wants to spend more time together rather than spending all the time prepping and chopping and going through all those processes that they just don't need to do anymore,
Hmm.
because our products exist. So we see ourselves being able to create that family time or create that special time for people at home rather than having to worry about coming home to start prepping all the veg as it used
Hmm.
to be. And that can be for things as straightforward as potatoes, or things much more brutal like peeling a turnip when you get home is not the most appealing thing. So the who could be bothered, no faff, no fuss campaigns do
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah. Innovation is also at the heart of what you guys do, isn't it? Who drives that? Who comes up with the ideas for new product development? How do you go about that, Jack?
So we've got an excellent team, and the ideas come from everywhere for innovation in the business and have done. The red cabbage and beetroot, as I
Mm.
said earlier, was my dad working off my grandmother's recipe, and the initial recipes that became mashed direct, the champ, the carrot and parsnip, are essentially coming from my grandmother and then through my dad to become those recipes. As we've continued to evolve, the beer battered chips and beer battered onion rings have come from members of the team collaborating with the family and bringing together to create something new and exciting. And then even into our most recent range, like the skinny fries, those come from recommendations from the team saying, could we do something that is more, that's going to be better for this type of market to go with chicken, or even into the new innovations like we've got the single serve range,
Hmm.
which are doing really well. And the single serve is targeted predominantly, we listen to students who
Students.
say,
Hmm.
that works for them,
Hmm.
or people who are
Well,
older,
the aging population too.
and that
Yeah.
works
Hmm.
really well for them. And even now, we're hearing that people are looking for more nutrient dense products, and people who are looking to reduce their portion size because they maybe are on GLP-1 drugs as
Hmm.
well. So then a lot of our range ties in really nicely for them because some of our products as well are containing fiber. So we're able to say that they're ideal for some of those new markets that are emerging in 2026.
Hmm. And community and corporate social responsibility is at the heart of the business as well. You've sponsored the Belfast City Marathon is that just because you're a keen runner or,
It was a good opportunity for us to jump in. We have
yeah.
a number of runners in the business. There's a lot of people who are interested in their fitness, and it was a good one for us to work with the Belfast City Marathon at the time. A really nice one. I was foolish enough to run it, as well as trying to market at the same time. So it was a really nice one for us to do, and one that created really good
Good
pride
pride.
amongst the team.
Yeah.
But for us, the charity work has been what we've done the whole way through as a business. My mum is a really big advocate of it. She's been incredibly supportive of MenCap throughout her whole life, and through her connection, she's always been very involved in the charity space. And then whenever Mash Direct took off, then we realised that we had the opportunity to work with food banks as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Fair Share, we've worked closely with for a number of years, as well as lots of local food banks in Newtonards, in East Belfast, in North Belfast, West Belfast. My mum knows them all personally at this
Yeah.
stage. She would go and have a chat with them, and anytime someone's coming to do a collection from us or we're doing a delivery, she knows the team there. And last year we gave away 265,000 portions of veg to those communities. So rather than
That's
them,
incredible. Mm.
yeah, well, it's something that we're really proud of. And for those for the food banks, so often what you find is they're getting, and I don't mean to talk down any categories in supermarkets, but they're getting long shelf life products, or they're getting bakery products, and it's not really what
Very much.
parents want if they're having to rely on something like that. So while there is, we obviously don't want there to be a need for it at all. We're really proud to collaborate with the incredible people who work in that space. When you get chatting to people who work for Fair Share, work for the food warehouse up in East Belfast, there's really incredible people and
Yeah.
leading those projects
Yeah.
and bringing food to such a wide community that we don't have much visibility of.
Yeah. And also you're very keen on educating young people about where their food comes from. You've done the initiative, the program with W5, the Field to Fork program.
What we found was it's really challenging to speak to people about where their food comes from if they have no visibility of it. And for so many kids that we go out and chat to, the only way they interact with food is in the supermarket. So they can't understand where their food comes from. And for us, the food industry, we chat every now and again about where we need to improve, and education for kids is a big part of that. We we obviously wanted government to step up and step into that space, but we also recognise in Northern Ireland that isn't easy at times, and things can move incredibly slowly here. So rather than wait for things to happen, we've always had the idea that if you just start moving and start trying to make things happen,
Mm-hmm.
then that's the best way
Best
to
way.
bring people with you. So that's where we started our collaboration with W5, and they're a brilliant education partner because where we are very strong at being able to tell our story and tell our message and show people where the veg comes from. It's another skill set entirely to communicate that to kids of that age, of key stage 1, key stage 2. So W5 have been a brilliant partner, and they have been taking the Field to Fork message into schools around our area, and we're really excited to roll that out more broadly.
Wouldn't that be an incredible thing to roll that out right across
It'd be brilliant. Well,
Northern
we had
Ireland?
Hugh Fernley Whittingstall was across in Hillsborough a few weeks ago, and he was able to. He was chatting to me about it, and he said he would love to see that rolled out more widely.
Hugh Farnsley Whitting
Whittingstall, yeah. So
being Riverside Cottage.
Riverside Cottage. So I've realised when I chat to some of the younger team, they say, "Who's
Who's
that?"
that? Yeah.
So, which makes me feel old. But he's got a good following. He really understands food, so it was great to chat to him about it. And Sheila Dillon from the food program is really interested in those campaigns as well. So it'd be really exciting to roll it out across more schools.
I think a million years ago, I took Sheila Dillon to visit your mother and father
That's right. And we went
in
up on the
Cumber,
mash bus. Yeah.
and we did the mash bus. Yeah, yeah. That wasn't today or yesterday.
No, but she still remembers it well,
Oh,
and
she
was asking
does.
after you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. What's next? How is 2026 shaping up for the business?
2026, we've started in a really strong place, and that is entirely down to the brilliant team that is now Mash Direct. So, while we've grown really strongly as a family business the whole way through, and the family are still very much the leadership and the drive behind the business, it's evolved into a new company now, essentially, where you've got these brilliant outside people who have come in with their expertise, and they're able to help us out. They've come from lots of different backgrounds to form our senior leadership team, be it from managing director through to head of operations, finance director. We've got a really strong team around us who are able to take us through to the next phase of the business, which is really just about holding strong to our core values and around the quality of our produce, keeping things local, and having that family message. But ultimately, it's being able to then translate that into a wider audience and bring that marketing campaign right the way across the UK and Ireland, talking to people more about our veg, because we've been quieter for the last few years. So now we're coming back out of our shell again and doing bigger campaigns, and you'll see a lot more of us in the next few months and years.
When you're facing challenges and you have problems or issues occurring right across the business, and the four members of the family get to sit round the kitchen table, how do you thrash things out?
Um, we always sit down and have lunch together.
Yeah?
So we have lunch together every day.
Wow.
We eat our own products for lunch. So today we had lamb chops with carrot and parsnip, and we had our wedges as well, and then some of our skinny fries. Um, just a couple of hours ago. So I mean, it's just something we do every single day. So it's never really about thrashing things out at this stage, because we work together so long that we understand how to talk to each other. There's a pattern, and that's the same with our wider team as well. So while the family sit together and have that time together to reflect and have a conversation over food, which is really important to us, the wider team are there to lend their expertise as well, which then makes the whole thing work and makes the whole thing flow effortlessly. So
And mum and dad are still very actively involved, Tracy and Martin, in the business on a day-to-day basis?
Dab's down doing carrots down Castlewellan first thing this morning.
Wow.
Mum was out doing a bird count
When
first
you
thing
say
this morning.
doing carrots, what do you mean?
He was out in the harvester.
Oh, right, right. On the tractor.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So still, that's where his passion is, and
Yeah.
that's where he gets his energy from.
So getting the
Like,
crop in.
getting the crop in,
Yeah.
absolutely. Still working through that. We've got a really great crop, and it's with different weather patterns, you've got to go out and bring it in whenever you can. So
And the
he's out
weather
there
has
this morning.
been quite horrific, hasn't it? Has that impacted greatly on the
Um,
crop?
it always seemed, we're in Northern Ireland. It always seems like, we
We talk
complain about
about
the
the
weather,
weather.
or you just live with it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We just work with it, because we grow so much ourselves. Yeah, I mean, it'll have a bit of an impact, but ultimately we'll keep growing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Like, the whole thing works, because we've moved slightly beyond the seasonality, because we're supplying our
Style.
products all year round. We always find a way to make it work, and keeping it local, and that's why we can still get our product on the shelves, not only in Killay and Clinchy, but also right the way around
Right
the UK
around.
and Ireland now.
Yeah. And what's your favourite product? How do you like your champ, your spuds?
um,
I'm a spuds
I'm
and butter girl.
I'm with you. It's
Abernethy butter.
anything with Abernethy butter elevates absolutely anything. For me, I'm really simple. The carrot and parsnip is my absolute favorite. It's right there from day one. It's just got that taste and texture of homemade. You can tell it's done on the farm. You can taste the heritage coming through in the carrots and parsnips, that natural sweetness to them. So that, to me, is the best embodiment of the quality of the Mash Direct range. But I also love a beer battered chip as well.
Yeah, I do too. Jack, the versatility of the range, because the carrot and parsnip product, as with most of your veg products and your mash, they freeze brilliantly.
They do. A lot of our products would have freezer message on the back of them, for people who would want to freeze them off as well. So we make it nice and versatile. Some of them have that message on them, but the shelf life's generally good on our products. So you're able to see, on supermarket shelves, we're available for good time periods,
Yeah.
and that's simply because we're sealing the freshness in, because we're doing it straight from the farm. It's not having to sit out for a long period of time. It's not like it's going from a farm and then sitting somewhere for a long period of time and then going to a supermarket back area and getting stored there for a long period of time. It's so fresh that you'll find that our products get from field to
To
fork
fork.
faster than the fresh
Yeah.
produce in the aisles as well.
And that's 9,000 supermarket shelves
It
on
is.
this island of Ireland. Isn't that right?
It's
It's gonna be
9,000
more
shells
now.
on the two islands
On the
together.
two islands.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And any exciting products being launched this year? Can we look forward to any NPD on the shelves?
Oh,
Any
we've got a great innovation team, and they would not like me to give it away before it hits the shelves. They'll have everything lined up to go live later on this year, but I'll have to keep my lips sealed, and then we'll do the announcements later on this year on the new
Very good.
ranges.
Okay. So, Jack, before we go, one question we're asking all of our guests is, of the abundance of incredible Northern Ireland food and drink products, which products will we always find in Jack and Claire's larder at home or fridge or freezer, and why?
We have loads of Northern Irish products on our shopping list every single week. We've got Clandy Boy yogurt, whites for the granola, Abernethy butter if we're lucky, or Dale Farm for the milk as well. There's so many incredible products that come from this part of the world. It's my my wife's a New Yorker, so she came across here and realized just the difference in local food that we
Mm.
have here. So both her and I are really big advocates of being able to have local brands and be able to say, okay, we know where that comes from, we know the people, we know the story, and therefore we know the quality. And then we're hoping that's going through to our 4-year-old and our 2-year-old boys at home, who we think it's getting through to, but most of the time they're covered in them rather than much of them going in their mouths. But yeah, it's there's so many good local brands here, and then if I'm really lucky, then a Bushmill 16 as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a little nice surprise at the end. Why not? Thank you, Jack.
Thank you so much.
This episode of the Love NI Food podcast is brought to you by Andrew Ingredients, supporting Northern Ireland's food industry for over 80 years.